Hey everybody, this is GGB Co-host Peppers, and I'd like to personally apologize for what happened last episode. To be honest, this editing app I'm using crashed on me, and I don't know if the right word is crashed, honestly, though. It has some problems with it, and for some reason it wouldn't let me upload my video if it was over 45 minutes long, even though I've done it multiple times before. But so I had to cut it down to 30 minutes, and that's finally when they let me upload it. I don't know what the heck happened there. But I rebooted this editing software. Hopefully it'll work again. I deleted it and then re-uploaded the app. It deleted all the stuff that was causing it, I think. But hopefully we won't have the same problem today. Anyways, I forgot to give this brief introduction. If you haven't watched the other episodes of this Conference of Championship series, go down to the first video. It says Conference of Champions. Just click on it. It'll explain the rules, basically. And then you should binge watch the entire thing. It's a really fun series to binge watch. Mainly because you can skip the episodes, that aren't as interesting because, it's just not as interesting because they didn't do as well. But if you're a fan of different conferences, you can binge watch your teams. If you're the SEC, you're looking pretty strong here. You dominated against the Mountain West. You're dominating here in this game. You're winning 30-0, so that's pretty impressive right there. Plus, you keep picking up first downs consistently, so, can't really complain if you're an SEC fan. Your team's doing extremely well today. Honestly, one of the better teams to compete today. Just in this league. And it's going to be really interesting. Honestly, we're going to either see... Realistically, I don't see the FCS Division II, Division III coming back from this 30-point deficit. Technically it could happen. But that would mean the FCS Division II, Division III would have to score points, which it hasn't done all night. And on top of that, the defense would have to get stops consistently, which they didn't do at all in the second quarter. They did it in the first quarter. First quarter was 0-0. The SEC scored 30 points in one quarter. That is ridiculously impressive. But now they have a solid command in this game. And as Matt Stafford drops back to pass, they bring the 5-man rush, but unfortunately for them, they hit Julio deep for a touchdown. It's the second of the day. 64-yarder. And as you can see, the SEC is looking pretty strong. I'd like to think that this is one of the best teams in the entire game, but this is why I think it's going to be really interesting, because this game is not honestly that interesting. So this is going to take up today and tomorrow. But if you check in on Saturday, we're going to get our first episode. Wait, let me double check the math there. This is going to come out Thursday. The next episode comes out Friday after this. It should be right, Saturday. We get our first episode of the ACC at Big Ten. Very big game, 2 seed versus the 3 seed. Whoever wins that game ends up going to the Super Bowl against what looks like to be the SEC Browns. And the SEC Browns are either going to be facing the Super Bowl champions last year, the Conference Champions Tournament last year, the Big Ten Titans. They won the Conference Champions Tournament last year, and honestly are a very strong team. Or they'll be facing the ACC, which means if the ACC gets there, they will have taken down the Big 12, which was the runner-up last year, and the Big 10, which won last year. So they would be facing some giant killers in the ACC. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see if it's going to be the SEC, Big 10, or ACC that comes out as the best conference. Honestly, I wouldn't be that disappointed if I was an FCS Division II, Division III fan. Your team, it didn't do poorly. It's always fun to watch yes check return, kick returns. But, seriously, they didn't do poorly. They got all the way to the conference championship. They ended up beating the Pac-12, which, by the way, was the number 1 seed last year and was the number 4 seed this year. So they're a very strong team still. They beat a very good Pac-12 team. they beat a Sun Belt team, which, I don't know. They played extremely well, so they were able to beat a good Sun Belt team. But it just all kind of fell apart for them against the SEC. Maybe they can get a drive going here. Maybe they can score points. I mean, I guess that's the goal if you're FCS Division II, Division III fan. Just kind of sacrifice. I mean, get some momentum or some, pride going into next year. Score something. They definitely need to have something to look forward to next year. They made it a long way, but being able to say you put up points against the SEC defense is pretty impressive. So, they're going to get the sack here. Fortunately for Jimmy G, Myles Garrett was not really blocked at all. And we're sitting at a 3rd and 10 for this FCS Division II, Division III Packers team. So, right away, definitely going to be a little bit weird for the FCS Division II, Division III team next year. They're going to probably have a different safety. I don't know what I'm saying. Leave me alone. I meant the SEC. It's going to be a little bit weird for them next year, considering their quarterback situation will be entirely messed up. They had 3 this year that were by far ahead of everyone else. Only 3 really starting quarterbacks in the SEC. But now they're faced with the situation. They got 2 new quarterbacks from SEC schools in Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa. And I bet Tua and Burrow start next year. So it's going to be interesting to see if Matt Stafford and Dak Prescott and Ryan Tannehill end up being replaced by those guys, or if they'll be able to hold on to their jobs at least next year. So definitely going to be some quarterback drama next year for the SEC. FCS Division II, Division III. It's going to be a solid race between Wentz and Jimmy G for the next couple of years. It was Wentz last year. Now Jimmy G gets his chance to shine, considering he led his team to the Super Bowl. It's going to definitely be weird. Watch next year, because it could be Wentz or it could be Jimmy G who will be starting next year. So watch for that. Running back, there's still going to be a solid competition. Nick Chubb's a starter, but I doubt that lasts for very long. Derrick Henry is too good to let someone be a higher overall than him other than Christian McCaffrey. That on top of that, Alvin Kamara is probably going to make some huge plays at the Saints. He had a down year this year because he got injured, but could definitely be, again, he returns to having a big impact next year. And so there's some drama really everywhere, especially at the quarterback position. It's going to, all the other teams, ACC and the Big 12, have their quarterbacks of the future already mapped out in Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. They have some solid backups like, I don't know, actually. Mahomes will probably have Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield for the next few years. And the main thing I was talking about was the ACC has Matt Ryan, if necessary, and Deshaun Watson sits a nice third-string spot. So they definitely have some solid depth behind Lamar and Mahomes, but those are the 2 quarterbacks of the future for them. But then also you have, honestly, the ACC didn't always have Lamar starting. Like last year, Patrick Mahomes started, and he will be starting for probably the rest of his career in this Conference of Champions. But last year, oddly enough, it was Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers didn't even make the team this year as a quarterback, with Matt Ryan and Deshaun Watson beating him out. But starting quarterback this year for Lamar Jackson has actually turned out to work pretty well for him. Same here with the SEC. SEC wasn't led by Matt Stafford last year. They were actually led by Dak Prescott, who ended up losing in the divisional round. So obviously Stafford's doing a little bit better than him. But he does have a better team built around him than Dak did. I gotta tell you that. get some quarterback drama in the Pac-12. If you didn't notice, Aaron Rodgers has had his clock started. So what that means is they drafted his replacement this year on Jordan Love, who will probably be making the third string spot in the Mountain West. Mountain West on its own is inspiring quarterback controversy, but we'll get to that later on. But what I was talking about is the Pac-12, and it's in a dire spot for a new quarterback to replace Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is still playing pretty well in the NFL. I'd say pretty well because I just don't think he's the same self as he used to be, and I honestly agree with the Packers' decision to draft Jordan Love and try to take a replacement. What I don't agree with is what they did after that. They could have given Devontae Adams another running mate to go, another guy, but instead they drafted A.J. Dillon, who's I think I ranked him like 7th best running back prospect. And I mean, he's not bad. I honestly think he can be a good running back, but he's a developmental project. And honestly, right now, if you're in a win now mode, you don't need a developmental project. You need a running back like Zach Moss, or I don't know who else was on the board at that time, but I feel like, I think they passed up on J.K. Dobbins to take A.J. Dillon. And that was, wait, no. Right. Yeah, no, I was thinking correctly. J.K. Dobbins, they passed up on him. And, yeah. If you pass on J.K. Dobbins to take A.J. Dillon, that's ridiculous, considering how talented that J.K. Dobbins guy is. But, let's talk about, oh my God. Getting absolutely crushed here. In the zone now. Good for Nick Chubb. He's not had the best postseason so far. But, I definitely need a new quarterback to take over for him. But right now, these are their options, really, starting-wise. We're not looking at any big Pac-12 quarterbacks coming out next year. So right now we're sitting at, in the Madden 20 version, you have Jared Goff and Sam Darnold. So, I mean, Sam Darnold could take off, and so could Jared Goff, but I just don't know that they both didn't look great this year. Minshew Mania, that's the third quarterback that we're getting. Gardner Minshew could possibly. Ooh, nice blocked field goal. They pick it up. Oh, they had a chance to take it for 2. I was looking forward to it. But, what was he talking about? Yeah. Pac-12 is definitely in a situation next year at quarterback. Not next year, but in a few years, Aaron Rodgers not going to be there anymore, and they need someone to replace him. And honestly, it's looking like Gardner Minshew more than anyone. And but though they ended up getting the Chargers drafted Justin Herbert in the first round this year. He's looking like he's going to end up starting at some point in his career. So look forward to Justin Herbert, seeing which one of those 4 are going to end up taking over for the Pac-12's reign in the future. Definitely going to be interesting to see. Also, the Big Ten. Big Ten's going to be really interesting to see because right now in the NFL, there's 5 starting quarterbacks from the Big Ten, okay? 2 of them are on the fringe of retirement, and that's Brady and Breeze. Drew Brees coming from Purdue, and Tom Brady from Michigan. Tom Brady started last year for the team, ended up actually getting replaced this year as starting quarterback by Russell Wilson. But Drew Brees and Tom Brady are getting up there in age, and that's looking like Russell Wilson's going to be the new starting quarterback for a good long time, but for the Big Ten. But let's not fool ourselves. Russell Wilson is not the young man he used to be, and the way he runs the ball leads himself to getting injured, and that's not a great thing in your quarterback. So he could retire sooner than later, too. But here's the thing that you have to worry about if you're the Big Ten. Who's your quarterback other than Russell Wilson? If Russell Wilson goes down with an injury, and it's the same problem the Pac-12 had. I mean, right now they have Drew Brees and Tom Brady, and that's great. Like, if Russell Wilson goes down, you're not going to see a big drop-off other than the way they play the game is not going to be the same, considering it's Drew Brees and Tom Brady, and it's Russell Wilson. But when Drew Brees and Tom Brady retires, you're looking at Haskins from Ohio State and Kirk Cousins from Michigan State to take over. Those are not the ideal people to take over. They're not that good. But maybe Haskins can take the next step in the future, but right now it's not looking great for the Big Ten for the future quarterbacks. They desperately need a new something. They need a new quarterback that can take over in case Russell Wilson gets hurt. And to take over his mantle at some point, he is getting up there in age. So Big Ten needs to find a quarterback that can eventually take over for Russell Wilson, and it's just not looking great for him right now. So Big Ten and Pac-12 championship runs, they gotta start. Like the ACC and the Big 12 are on the way up. I'd even say the SEC, it does not need to worry about Matt Stafford and his age quite yet. They pick Jimmy G off again. And even this team, FCS Division 2, Division 3, Wentz and Garoppolo are young, and you don't need to worry about winning the championship now. The Big Ten and the Pac-12 are in must-win championship must-win-now modes because they only got a couple more years of this. And you got to win now because there's no new quarterbacks looking to take over. SEC, Burrow and Tua could both end up being huge playmakers, and they could end up being the quarterbacks that play year in and year out for this team. The SEC definitely has those guys waiting for. But Big Ten and the Pac-12 are in situations where the people taking over for their starters are not the people you really want taking over for your starters. But, it's okay, I guess. But, going to the other teams, if you're a Mountain West fan, they're in a perfect place quarterback-wise. Okay, and there is going to be quarterback controversy next year. But you have Derek Carr and Josh Allen. And those two, if you didn't know, Derek Carr went to Fresno State and Josh Allen went to Wyoming, both Mountain West schools, and they have two starting quarterbacks in the NFL. At one point in time, they'll probably end up getting three with the addition of Jacob Love onto the Packers team, who will probably be the third-string quarterback. Let's not fool ourselves. He most definitely will probably be the third-string guy for him. But there's going to be quarterback controversy next year to see if Josh Allen or Derek Carr is going to get start. But they're heading in the right direction as a team, moving towards a championship ring instead of away from it. They definitely have young talent on that team that can end up being amazing. They could end up being very talented players. For instance, Rashad Penny, if he grows into his capabilities, he could have a great running back. Receiving-wise, you still have Devontae Adams, so if Michael Gallup forms into his own, they could have a great guy there. And tight end, Josh Oliver and Jacob Hollister could both end up being star playmakers for this team, for the Mountain West team. But on top of that, their defensive linebacker core is solid, and their defensive line is getting to be pretty strong as well. Secondary is definitely a place that would be helpful to get new players that could really play. An offensive line, obviously, would be a huge asset there. But other than that, you have the Independents, who, in my opinion, are on the way up. You have Taysom Hill will eventually become a starting quarterback for the Saints, probably in a year. So, not Madden 21, but Madden 22, we could end up seeing a pretty good Taysom Hill rating as a quarterback. So, I think the Independents are on their way up, especially with developing young talent like maybe Miles Boykin. So, we're definitely going to see about that. Maybe Cole Kmet. It's definitely going to be interesting to see which players will be the new. So I think Taysom Hill has a firm lock on that Independent starting gig, mainly because I think it's pretty obvious, but I'll say it. Taysom's way better than Deshaun Kaiser and Josh Woodrum. So I think the Independents are on their way up in the league, especially considering they have one of the best head coaches in the NFL in Andy Reid. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they do in upcoming years. And if I think there's a team that is on a downward trajectory and it's not really going to get a chance to compete much in the next couple of years. Okay, let's talk about the other ones. I think, honestly, though, Conference USA has a chance to compete in a couple of years. Nick Mullins is definitely getting better. You can see he had a good team. If you get some good offensive linemen around him, which they should be adding through the draft, but I think, honestly, the way they competed this year, they really do have a chance next year to be a really good team. A team that could possibly knock out the Big 12, which is who they normally end up facing every year. But Devin Singletary is great for them. And they just have a chance to do some amazing things. And I gotta tell you that if Aaron Jones and Devin Singletary on a team, if you didn't know that, it's a great two-headed monster for them, but it's gonna be ridiculous to see if the Conference USA can grow into that potential they have on that team. Adding on top of that, they still have T.Y. Hilton, if you didn't know, on that team. Also, here's the thing about the Sun Belt. The Sun Belt, on paper, shouldn't compete, but they really did compete against this FCS Division II, Division III Packers team. They played really well against them. But for some reason, it just didn't end up working out in the end. But, yeah, they added 3 new offensive linemen through the draft that got drafted. Actually, I don't know if it's 3, but I know there's at least 2 from Louisiana Lafayette that got drafted into the NFL, which means suddenly they have new offensive linemen, and maybe I won't have to put linebackers in as linemen. I mean, they had 6 offensive linemen, technically. But if you could add some, nice players on that offensive line, you could get some running room and get some running plays from Jerick McKinnon, J.D. McKissick, and Matt Breida. That would be huge for them. Adding on top of that, Gerald Everett proved that he can be a big-time threat for that team. If Brandon Silvers can just get an upgrade at quarterback, like actually maybe being added to the game so I don't have to make him the second worst quarterback in the game, considering he might come into the NFL now that the XFL has, kind of gone away from being a major part in life. I don't know, add Brandon Silvers back in the game, and I can finally have the quarterback from Troy show what he's capable of, and maybe end up pulling off an upset one year as the 12th seed. They're definitely going up in this league, and brings me to my final team that I think is actually going on a downward trajectory. And normally, you judge a team's potential quarterback situation-wise. As long as you have a good starting quarterback, you can probably do stuff in this game. As you can see, normally the best starting quarterback is one. I completely forgot about one team, and that's the MAC. And the MAC is in the same boat as Big Ten and Pac-12, except for instead of having, Sam Darnold or Jared Goff to bring in the new future at quarterback, you have a guy like Tyree Jackson. So, I feel like if they don't start winning with Big Ben Roethlisberger, which they haven't done in the past 2 years, getting knocked out in the wild card round both times, one by the Mountain West, one by the Independents, they're not going to make it in a long time. Let's be honest here. There's not an MAC quarterback out there that I'd be hyped to have on my team. I'm just going to be honest here. MAC, if Tyree Jackson takes over the mantle for Big Ben Roethlisberger, you have a problem. It's not a good thing if that happens. The MAC's in trouble if Big Ben Roethlisberger doesn't end up starting in a couple years, or they find a replacement for him. MAC desperately needs a guy, and it just doesn't look like they're going to be getting one. They didn't get one this year. No MAC quarterback looked amazing, and I feel like Tyree Jackson's the best one you're going to get in a while, so it's definitely going to be weird. Yeah, MAC Ravens team without Big Ben Roethlisberger, but they might have to just ask Kareem Hunt to carry the team. And honestly, that team looks pretty good on offense, so Big Ben Roethlisberger needs to take advantage of that, put up some points. And honestly, Big Ben Roethlisberger did not look good this year. MAC does not have a chance. Desperately they're in a win-now situation. If they don't start winning soon, then they're going to end up... They're not going to go anywhere in a long time and end up maybe falling down to Conference USA, Sun Belt levels of badness, and not being able to compete. While the Sun Belt and Conference USA, I think, are on the upward trajectory. I think MAC's on the downward track. Finally, the final team I'd like to talk about is the American Conference. And the American Conference is, just weird, because unlike the other ones, which has a clear starting quarterback that is somewhat good, other than the Sun Belt, which is it has the second worst quarterback in the NFL. And I mean, that's no like attack on Brandon Silvers or anything. I just, since he's not in the actual Madden game, I made him the second worst quarterback in Madden. So I tried to keep that fair. If people aren't in the NFL, in Madden, I mean, obviously I need people to fill that position. So, I mean, it's not just like we don't need a quarterback kind of thing. Same with Independence kicker. They don't have a kicker in real life in the league. They do have a punter, oddly enough, Justin Newsom. But they don't have a kicker, so I had to make that guy. He's the worst kicker in the NFL, so don't worry. By the way, I was wondering if you guys, I don't know if this is a stupid idea of me, but post in the comment section below. Let's listen to me, okay? If you think, if you're a Madden fan or whatever, and you enjoy playing Madden, and you'd like to have this roster, if this video hits 10 likes or anyone posts a comment asking me for the roster, I'll post it after the series is done onto, the Madden server. So you can download the rosters so that you can, oh my gosh. Chris Jones just absolutely destroyed the interior offensive lineman. But it's definitely coming down to the witching hours here in this game. Anyways, if you really do like the roster, please let me know. You're not, unless you're willing to dedicate a lot of time, it's going to take a lot of time to develop this roster. Wait, never mind. Cross that. It's going to take you a little bit amount of time. I mean, I already showed you in the other videos. I mean, if you want to go check those out, the rosters for all these teams. But if you didn't know, Madden actually has a cap space for adding players to teams in, like, the little editing player, like, edit the teams. You actually have a cap space, which is, stupid. It's so freaking stupid that I can't make my team the way I want to make my team, and I'm limited by cap space. Because, I mean, if I just go into franchise, I can turn off cap space, but apparently that's not allowed in the actual editing players and teams or whatever, so it does take a lot of work. But here's what you have to do. If you're wondering, you have to make each player a kicker. It costs a lot of money, so that you can make them, so that you can cut them, release them into free agency, then sign them back as a kicker, so you have them at almost no cost to you. And that's what you have to do, so you don't run out of cap space. I mean, honestly, it does not matter for most of the teams, like FCS Division 2, Division 3 Packers, all the way to Sun Belt. It does not matter for them because you're fine. It's okay. You can get by, honestly, with just picking up the players and cutting the former players that were on the team before. Like, for instance, this team, you cut all the Packers, then it's fine. And you can just pick up the guys you want. But for the Pac-12, the Big Ten, the ACC, and the SEC, you have to go through that excruciating process. Like, it's absolutely horrible. It's just not fun at all for literally any single person on Earth. It takes a lot of time and effort to make these rosters. So if you guys could please just drop a like and subscribe to my channel, I would mean a lot. These videos actually do take a lot of time to make. Number one, I have to sit through and voice over all these games already. I have to set them up to record on the big screen. I have to stop it every quarter, so I definitely have to pay attention, unfortunately. For some of these games, I actually have to watch them. No, I had to make all these rosters. And then my editing software decides to be my pain in the butt for me and just absolutely make my life a living nightmare with this. Oh, you can't. I had to stay up till legit 1 a.m. last night, just, editing the software, just trying to make it, better, not to make it better, but to get it to upload it all. And then, you know what, I just gave up because it freaking sucks, the software. So I had to cut it, I had to cut my video by like 10 minutes for no obvious reason. other than it's a freaking idiotic software. But anyways, we're coming to the end of this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please go down to the bottom of the video, hit that little like button, make that thumbs up blue. Every time we get a little thumbs up, it makes my world a better place. So just please do that, and it makes me so happy. Why wouldn't you want to make me and Puppers happy? Also, if you could just please subscribe, get me that 17th subscriber. That is my dream and hope in life. Just give me that 17th guy. 17, numero 17, my man. That would be so awesome. I would just, love it. Love that. If I could get that 17th subscriber. Anyways, please return tomorrow and the following. Let's see, after this episode, 9 episodes. Only 9 episodes left, so definitely come back and check those episodes out, guys. It takes a lot of effort to make these, so if you could just keep checking it out. I mean, honestly, you don't have to come back tomorrow. But come back for the ACC and the Big Ten, and definitely the Super Bowl, where we'll see the SEC versus either the ACC or the Big Ten, depending on who wins that conference championship game. It'll be hype. It'll be exciting. Definitely come back and check those out the next couple weeks. We only have about a week more in this series left. It does take a lot of work, so please do check it out. It does. Please. Please. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. It does take a lot of work to make these. Anyways, this is GGB co-host Pupper saying adios, amigos.